What's up again, everybody? Well, it's officially official. We now have access worldwide to Crucible of War. Crucible of War is the third set that has been released. It's the most recent set that has been released, and it is a supplemental set. And technically, this is not an unlimited print run thing. This is literally a first edition print run. Look, I still have one of the boxes. This is the box that I pulled that sweet card in, and it does say first edition on the back. So let's talk about what you're going to find in this set, in this supplemental set, and what cards you want to look for, hope for, maybe go out and purchase on one of those singles sites I talked about in one of the previous Buyer's Guides videos. Which, by the way, if you haven't actually gone and watched any of those previous Buyer's Guide videos, I'd highly recommend that you do so. There's information on where you're going to be able to buy boxes at good deals, some singles sites that you can go and support with your patronage, if you will, that sort of thing. It'll also talk about what kind of cards you want to look for and hope for in your boxes, like we're going to do in this video. In fact, in this video, we're literally just going to talk about the cards you should be excited to pull, or the ones that you should go out and maybe pick up in the form of singles rather than just buy boxes if that's not what you want to do. We're going to talk about those cards, the ones that are the staples from this set that you should really seek out and maybe keep long term. Before we kick things off, though, I do want to say thank you to those people that have supported via Patreon that are right above me. Those people make the world go round. They make everything that I'm doing over here so much easier. And if you want to jump over there and support me on Patreon, feel free to head down to the link in the description, and you can find the Patreon info over there. Also, thank you to everyone that's been subscribing as of late. I hope these videos have made you more well-informed on Flesh and Blood, and I hope you're just enjoying the content that I'm putting out. So thank you for hitting the little subscribe button. If you want to join and hit the little subscribe button yourself, feel free to do so right down below. All right, let's get started. All right, so as I said, Crucible of War is a different set. It's a supplemental set. It's not like one of those core booster sets. This is more a set to fill out the classes and to give them new direction and new tools in their toolkits, if you will. It's also not a set that has the normal number of legendaries. Now, there are fabled cards in every set, and there is a fabled card in this set, and I should probably start with that one. Look, if you open a fabled card, just period, end of story, you should be really excited, you should be really hyped, especially this card. In my opinion, I do like that it is class specific. I like that it is a Rune Blade card. I think that's super fun. That being said, it does have less utility, obviously, because it only fits into one class, but honestly, those cards are really for collection purposes. This one does have a little bit more playability in the sense that it works really well with the hero and the class itself. But that being said, if you open that card, it's really there to look absolutely stunning and to put into your collection and kind of show off. I think that's really my stance on the subject. You could play any of the fabled cards, but in my opinion, you oftentimes more just keep them for the collection. The legendaries we should also talk about in this set. In most sets, there are, what, 5? I think there's 5 legendaries. 1 per class, so the 4 classes per set, and then the generic legendary. In this set, there are only 2. One of them is a reprint of the most important legendary in the game, you know, by many. Many think that, and I'm probably one of them, in the Spring Tunic. And if you open that card, you should be really excited because you just got a budget version of the Alpha Spring Tunic that is so hard to find and is so expensive. This one will still carry more value than the other legendary in this set. Well, actually, that's not true. This will carry more value than the other legendaries in the other sets, I should say, for the unlimited print run. Let me be very specific. This Fangdal Spring Tunic is more valuable than the other legendaries in previous unlimited sets. Now, I want to just remind you, this is a first edition set, but that being said, this is a rainbow foil version of Fangdal Spring Tunic. I still think it will hold more value, mainly because it is, I guess, a first edition, and it's more playable, right? You could play this in anything because it's generic. But the other legendary in this set, of which there are only 2 in the set, the other one is Shiana Diamond Gemini, and she is a cold foil hero, and you should definitely hope to pull her in a box because she's going to hold value for the long term. Because even if they reprint her, and actually I do expect them to reprint her in some way, shape, or form, even if they reprint her, they're never going to reprint her like this. At least that's what Legend Story Studios has said. So it's a very important thing to understand, is that by their word, the card will never appear like that again. And because of that, if you open it, it's going to have value, right? So those are the two legendaries. I think both have merit, and you should hope for both. The Fabled, obviously, you hope for. But what besides those just giant, you know, like legendary and Fabled and high-priced cards should you be looking for? I'm going to start with something you may not agree with, but I definitely think, like I 100% think that you should start this set by getting your hands on every one of the new young heroes. Of course, except for perhaps Shiana Diamond Gemini if you can't or aren't willing to spend the money on actually picking her up. I think you should get your hands on every single one of the other young heroes in this set. That is not necessarily that hard to do because they are either rare or common cards. That being said, you should pick them up. If you want to pick them up in Rainbow Foil, that's fine, but really you should just pick them up no matter what because it gives you access to building decks around them in Blitz and in Ultimate Pit Fight formats, which is the multiplayer pseudo commander format of Flesh and Blood. So if you get your hands on any of these new heroes, you have access to playing with them for the long term. That is probably, in my opinion, the most important thing that you can do with regards to Crucible of War, because you're going to want to have access to these new heroes if something crazy or cool comes down the pipeline in Monarch. Now, after you've done that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is actually more important, but I do think that the heroes are probably the most important thing. But hear me out. The next thing you should go for are a full play set of the Majestic equipment in this set. So each class got a new Majestic equipment, and you should try to grab one of each. Now, you can get them in cold foil, and if you get new cold foil weapons or equipment, you should be hyped about that because cold foil, again, aren't going to be reprinted if they do take this set to unlimited. So if there's an unlimited print run of Crucible of War, then they're not going to reprint those things as cold foils. So cold foils, again, will hold value, whereas rainbow foils will come down over time. Well, maybe they both come down over time. I'm not a speculator. That being said, they'll be more valuable if they're cold foil. If you can get your hands on any rarity slot, rainbow, normal, cold foil of the Majestic equipment, you should, because those are, I don't want to say class defining, they are class expanding pieces of equipment or weapons. They give you the ability to do new things, even just subtly, with each of the classes, and that is an important thing going forward into new sets. So the very next thing you should do after you get yourself a play set of the new heroes, which again are only rare and very cheap, is find a way to get your hands on the Majestic equipment in this set, because they're, I think, very important to what you can do with regards to the set. Same thing goes for the they're not Majestic, just the new weapons for each class. Because of the same exact reason, they open up new avenues of play in a variety of formats. Other cards you should keep your eye out for if you plan to open boxes going forward. Twinning Blade, which is a Majestic Warrior card, has an alternate printing, an extended art printing, wherein they took the text box off and they just show the art of Twinning Blade on it in its full glory. And if you get your hands on that, then you have basically opened like a money card. So if you get your hands on that card, you should consider either holding onto it and trading for something really good, or for selling it and then using that money how you see fit. But that is a card that you would want to keep your eye out for as long as you plan to open boxes. If you want to buy it, it's going to cost you. But if you end up opening it, that's pretty sweet. Coax a Commotion is also one of those cards that does provide some monetary value if you open it, as well as things like Gorganian Tome. Even like foil snags are pretty good if my memory serves correct at pricing. There are good prices all around within this, and it's mostly going to be the Majestic cards. Non-Majestic things that do get you a couple of bucks or like some good money perhaps. Off the top of my head, and I'm not actually sure, I haven't checked this, I would think that Foil Cash-In would be one of those kinds of cards that if you open it, it's worth a couple of dollars, because Cash In is a short printed card, and a foil version of Cash In, I would imagine, would be even more short printed. So that would be another card that if you manage to open, you should be pretty hyped about. Now again, with this set being a supplemental set, it's important to think about what cards each class got, and then I guess it's also important to think about how these cards that we got in this set impact the power levels of specific classes. One that really sticks out to me that I can think of that's a common card, but I think going to be a staple going forward for the class, is Warrior. And the card Hit and Run is just an absolute powerhouse of a card. In fact, I don't see a reason not to play Hit and Run. I'm trying to think of one right now. Hit and Run is absolutely insane for the class, and it's one that I now see as a staple for the class, and it's just a class that gets better with a good common card. So that's a class to keep your eye on. If you plan on latching onto a specific class, Warrior has always been great, and I don't see that going away anytime soon, particularly because we got a card like Hit and Run. And that's not even counting things like Twinning Blade, which again is a majestic and very good, or even the Spoils of War, which has some potential going forward depending on how they use copper tokens in the next couple of sets. So it's very interesting to me that they've gotten all of these wonderful cards, that is Warrior players and Warrior class in general, when they were already in such a really good spot. So that's an interesting little tidbit. To me, Warrior, and this is maybe it's just a bias, a personal bias as well. To me, Warrior got some good stuff in this set. You know, and on that note, I think it is important. I went ahead and pulled up the entire set over on fabtcg.com, where you can see every card in this set. It's important to note, I think maybe I'm just thinking Warrior is so good because I also like the class, but really all of the classes got a little bit of something to make them more interesting. Like, these cards are really cool, really interesting. This is powerful, also really cool. There's like a lot of new stuff that you can do with Brute, with the Mandible Claw idea, versus just running this Romping Club. Like, the entire set just feels really fresh. It breathes fresh air into the classes. Like, Mangle's really cool, and just Righteous Cleansing is really neat in general. I've opened 1,001 Towering Titans, so I kind of hate that card, which is sad to say, but I just do. I'm sick of seeing Towering Titans. Ninja got, this is just transformative in the sense that Zephyr Needle has helped make Ira so much stronger in Blitz, because you can do the second attack, attacking for 3, and the needle doesn't break most of the time unless you defend with a defense reaction. But the whole new combo line of leading to Find Center or Huron's Flight is really cool, and something you might want to think about grabbing into if you like Ninja as a class. This is also the most beautiful card in the set, I think. Well, it's one of the most beautiful cards in the set. I mean, the girl, let's be honest, the girl's the most beautiful card in the set. But here's Twinning Blade again. I'm not sure I love Unified Decree, even though I do have a playset now of them. I do love Spoils of War. Out for Blood's great, and like I said, Hit and Run is just absolutely insane for the class. Shiana, the most beautiful card in the set right there. That's the one. I don't know. I don't have enough of a feel for Mechanologist myself to know if things like Absorption Dome would make the cut into like a highly competitive deck, either in Classic Constructed or in Blitz. Merchant as a hero is so cool, but we don't have anything for him yet. But again, that's why I say keep your hands and keep your eyes on picking up these new heroes, because it's important to have them so that you can play them in the future, particularly in Ultimate Pit Fight. Sadly, I don't think Ranger got enough to make it really feared. Remorseless is insane. I do think that Poison the Tips is kind of cool, and it's another reload effect, and reload's important in that class. Just in general, I always like this Pathing Helix, but I just don't know, man. I don't know if they got enough. Personally, the Skeleton is a really cool little thing. I love Dread Triptych. If you can get your hands on Dread Triptych playsets, for some reason those are hard to come by. I have 3 Rattlebones, and I don't actually like them as much as I like the idea of playing something with Dread Triptych. So Dread Triptych to me is better, but that's, you know, just neither here nor there. It's up to you. It's personal preference. Personally, there's the Fabled, by the way. I put it up on the screen earlier, but I thought as we were going through it, it'd be just fine. These cards are really solid if you're playing, like Chain Lightning, for example, is really solid if you're playing a multiplayer format. The fact that it just hits everybody, which is crazy, it's just absolutely insane. But again, if you're playing a multiplayer format, you're playing at 15 health with a wizard. That doesn't usually defend things, so you're probably going to die. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. And then, of course, as we talked about, Spring Tunic is really solid. Gambler's Glove is also just one of the coolest generic cards that you can get in the set. Coaxes are really popular. You should definitely hope to get some of those. Pick up a single tome. You can only run one anyway because of the legendary keyword. Lets you only put one in the deck, so you only need one. And then, of course, we have the snag, like I mentioned. Short printed cash in. Again, we're just kind of summing up everything that we've talked about. Get as many cracked baubles as you... No, I'm just kidding. Doesn't matter. Yes, but this set, I think it's my favorite set. And that's a weird thing to say, but I just appreciate what a supplemental set has provided for the game and for the various classes. I think this is just a really cool way to expand on classes without just getting into the weeds of a full-on set. I think I'm looking forward to the next couple of core sets, or whatever you want to call them, full-on booster sets. But the next time a supplemental set rolls around, I'm going to buy hard into it, because if it's anything like the one that I've experienced in Crucible of War, I'm going to love it. So that's my video. That's what I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you liked it. If you do, feel free to leave a like. Leave a comment down there. Let me know what you think about this. Did I miss anything? Is there a card in this that's totally just like meta-defining that I didn't talk about? Let me know in a comment below. Feel free to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of this, and as always, thanks for watching.